Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, it's still snowing from the video that I released this morning, and I don't know, I haven't even measured it in a while. I'd say it's probably another 2 or 3 inches on the ground from when I made the video earlier this morning. But it's interesting. We made some snow cream for the kids. If you don't know what that is, you should probably look it up. It's basically just adding well, there's different ways to do it. And some people get all elaborate with taking the snow and turning it into ice cream. I just take some sweetened condensed milk, dilute it down just a little bit with some milk and cream, half and half or something like that. And then just mix it in with some good, clean, fluffy snow. And it makes for a pretty tasty ice cream treat for the kids. And that's one of the things they look forward to every year, if it snows enough. But anyways, a lot of stuff going on still over there in the whole Russia-Ukrainian thing. The State Department today said that they have very good intelligence that the Russians are planning a false flag video, that they're going to release video evidence of some type of false flag attack that's going to give the Russians the reasoning and the excuse to cause an invasion. I don't know if they're planning on using a play out of the playbook that the Americans usually do when we create false flags. But you know, we'll just kind of have to wait to see exactly what Russians plan to do, or which country produces the best false flag evidence. That'll be interesting. Also, this stuff up in Canada with the truckers still going strong. It's kind of heating up a little bit. There's been a lot of video of the standoff at border crossings and at certain major junctions on the highway. There seems to be a build-up of interest in doing a similar type of thing here in the United States. I haven't seen a lot of evidence for that yet. I'm not saying it's not happening. I just haven't seen anything showing that it is happening in any kind of great numbers, but it could. Because of that, you like we've said before, you've got to expect that at some point we're going to start seeing the worsening of our supply chain, the worsening of getting the food and stuff to your local grocery stores. So you should certainly continually be stocking up when you're able to. That's one of the reasons why I promote my Patriot Supply. It's not the only thing that you should stock up on. It's just one of those kind of Band-Aids that you put on when you need something quick to fix. You don't have to worry about something. You don't have to worry about, storing it so much, because it's freeze-dried and it lasts for a very long time. If you're interested in that, there's a link in the description below. They're still running a kind of a New Year's sale event. They've extended that, and some of their products are up to 50% off. But the reality is that things are getting worse. Of course, what I suspect is going to happen is over the next few weeks, we're going to see the shelves more and more empty, and they're going to use the excuse, well, we've had all this really bad weather. Between the grand solar minimum and us spraying the clouds, we've got all this crazy weather all over the United States that shut down a lot of highways and just a lot of business. And so that's why the shelves are bare, and there's always going to be something as an excuse. And then eventually they're just going to say, well, it's all those crazy patriotic truck drivers. And that's why we need to nationalize trucking and bring automated trucking into play, because, we can't trust such a vital, critical infrastructure as our supply chain to these just radical truckers. And so we'll see that probably play out. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's a possibility. I think the thing that's kind of on my heart today it is not exactly those things. Those are just little updates, things that I saw this morning in the news. Folks, we have these meetings every month here, and it's energetic to go there and meet with dozens and dozens of people. I mean, we average between 250 and 300 people in attendance every month, and I would say it's got to be one of the largest monthly prepper type homesteading meetings, maybe in the entire country. I don't know. Now, I'm not saying that everyone that comes is fully vested and fully, getting involved in stuff. In fact, it's just the opposite. It's kind of like with church, you 10%, hold the carry the water for the 100% or the other 90% of the people in the church. And that's true, that's true with an event like this and with meetings like this. But just like with church, it's very critical for you to take these things seriously. I think there's still a lot of people in the prepping community. Now, I'm not talking about the normies out there. I'm not talking about the sheep that's still asleep, whether they're on the left or the right, because there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them that think that, the current president is going to save us, or, some globalist entity is going to save us, or they think that the next, election, we're going to elect people from the other side of the aisle and they're going to save us. So there's a lot of people that's still asleep. I'm talking about folks like you and I. I'm talking about preppers, which, people that are prepared, people that are trying to get their houses in order, and they're homesteading, and they're trying to learn skills and develop them and develop the tools and stuff so that they can survive. I still think that there's a lot of them, though, that think that this is just one of those little temporary little waves that we go through, and they're not quite yet accepting of the severity of all the stuff that's going on and how it's all playing out. There's too many things, there's too many irons in the fire, there's too many coincidences happening all at once on a global stage in every country and every part of our society that's rapidly changing. And the change is too much too soon. A society can't advance and change, go through that much in such a short amount of time and expect there to not be some fallback. And that's not even looking at it from a biblical perspective, knowing that it's just not going to get better. It's going to get worse. And when I say worse, I mean really bad worse. And I don't know that there's a lot of people that's really finally, grasped that and they agree with that. And I hope that the videos that I produce and many others on YouTube are enough to kind of wake people up and realize, and not just our videos, but just the things that are happening around us. Because folks, the folks that are kind of in charge of all this, the men behind the curtain kind of thing, they're serious about this. And if you think that some truckers out protesting, or people out on the streets protesting, or people refusing to do this or whatever is going to be enough for them to just throw in the towel and say it's okay, it's all right, we'll just give up. If you think it's enough for the powers of darkness and the spiritual warfare that's going on, just say, okay, all right, you won. It's not how it's going to work, folks. That's not how it is working. And we have to be ready for serious things to happen, and understand that the world is rapidly changing. It has changed. It's not going to change, okay? We're not talking about in a future tense type of scenario, that things are going to happen in the future. America's going to change. America's going to collapse. America's going to do this. We're going to lose freedoms. We have been. It's a slow progression. Many of you probably agree with me in the sense that Hollywood is just propaganda, okay? I mean, there's certainly some entertainment. We've all watched movies and TV shows and been entertained by them. But it's also the propaganda arm for the globalist. And I think one of the things that they have done over the many years of the many movies that's been out that cover some kind of end of world scenario is that they've made people believe that it happens pretty quick, that it's just an overnight thing. One day it's great, the next day an asteroid hits. One day it's great, and the next day, the earth opens up and buildings flip over. One day it's great, and the next day, the earth is completely frozen. There's all these scenarios. One day it's great, and the next day everyone's being eaten by zombies. That's not how it works, folks. That's not how societies crumble and fall. Look at throughout your history. I mean, it took hundreds of years for the Roman Empire to collapse. It didn't just happen overnight. And that's what we're seeing today. We're seeing a progression, and it's building, and it's built. We're in that stage that it's building up a lot faster. It's building up at a speed and an intensity that you can see on the surface, because for the last couple of decades, it was happening, but it was happening at a slower pace and a little bit more behind the scenes. So it was a little bit more difficult for the average person to see. You had to really be digging and watching to observe it. Now it's just happening right out in front of you. They're not really trying to hide it anymore. They know that they've gone too far down that path, that there's not really much that's going to stop them. And so there's not much fear from their perspective to kind of hide their actions and what their goals are. They're just pretty much telling you what they're planning on doing. All you have to do is really listen. And because of that, I know that we're in that stage of things, the intensity and the speed is picking up, which means we're getting closer and closer to that point where it is very apocalyptic. It is the real deal SHTF. And I think a lot of people just don't quite get that yet, even amongst our own circles. And of course, I could be wrong. Could be wrong. And if I am, I am. And if I'm wrong, you know what happens? I guess just my pride is hurt that you get on here and tell me, see, I told you, everything's back to normal now. But if I'm right, and you've been the one just kind of sitting there thinking, well, I know we should be doing more to prep, but we've got all this other stuff going on in our life. I know we should be doing, but there's a good chance that things are just going to turn back to normal before eventually. I mean, we get the right person elected into office because, of course, elections are always honest and complete and fair and all that kind of stuff. So we just get the right guy in office. And of course, they're never, the world leaders are never actually chosen. It's, we get the right guy into office, things are going to turn around. Folks, I don't know how to tell you any different. I'm not some great knowledgeable person that has some, very secretive information and intel that you're not privy to. I'm not some, crystal ball looking kind of guy. I'm not a prophet. I'm not anything like that. I'm just as regular as they come. But I also have an open mind, and I know my history, and I read the Bible, probably not as much as I should, but I do read it and study it. And I'm also aware of what's going on around the world, and I kind of have this ability to put two and two together and realize that we are living in serious times. And the seriousness that I mean is that we are living in the generation and the time period that we are watching our society transition from still enough to have a feeling of normalcy to that time where there's no longer any resemblance whatsoever to a free society, no longer any resemblance whatsoever to a culture that is normal, whatever that really means. That's where we're at right now. We are in that transitionary period, and there's many of us that will probably be alive to watch us get past this transitionary period and into that period of it's just bad. It's just everything's falling apart, and it's just there's no resemblance to what we once had. I hope these meetings that I put out just address this. I hope that these meetings that we do are able to kind of capture enough people that are really serious, that are really dedicated to doing this kind of stuff, that are really serious about working together in communities and building something so that we can rely on each other through this collapse, because I think that it is coming. I mean, there's experts much smarter than I that's been telling us this for years, and they're saying this a lot more. I was reading an article yesterday, this guy, he was the guy that was writing the article was interviewing these professors, and I'll try to wrap this up because the video is going longer than I wanted. Anyways, he was saying that there's some of the top universities, Harvard, Stanford, and I think another one I can't remember, that they actually have these little think tank groups working on this idea that we are collapsing, and how to predict it, and how to predict when it's going to happen, and how it's going to happen. And he said that in this, the guy that was writing this article, he said he interviewed some of the professors in each of those 3 think tank groups that he mentioned. And he said that all 3 of them, and this is recent, this was in the last year, he said all 3 of them said that they were absolutely terrified because most of the world's population just don't get it. They don't see that we are in the midst of the collapse of our civilization. He said they just don't get it. And he said these professors were just very emphatic in telling him that people just don't see it. That it is happening, and that they're every day as they watch events happen around the world, they become more fearful of what we're facing and what we will continue to face. Folks, I do my best not to stir up fear and get on here and, the sky is falling, you better take your money out of the stock market. Oh, the sky is falling, go buy bunches of ammo. What I do try to do is just shoot straight with you and speak from my heart. And my heart tells me that there's a lot of you that need to make a decision, to get serious. And maybe you're new to the game and you feel that you can't catch up fast enough. I can't tell you whether you can or not. You got to work hard to catch up. For the rest of you that's been aware of this for at least 2 to 4 years or something like that, I don't know what to tell you. You gotta get serious, folks. The world's changing pretty rapidly, and I think within probably a fairly short amount of time, we're going to start to really notice us going from that transitionary period to that period to where it is drastically different, and it doesn't look anything at all like the world that we once knew, the world that we grew up in, the country that we once, held allegiance and was loved. I think that we're getting to that point that we're going to start seeing that happen. Folks, get ready. Get your houses in order. Prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and most especially spiritually, because everything that's happening, while we're seeing and we're experiencing the physicalness of it, the physical manifestations of this, what is happening is a spiritual warfare, and we're just caught up in the physical part of it. So definitely get your heart in line to where it needs to be. All right, folks, thank you all for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.